Hey guys, and welcome back. If you click the link, then you are going to see if a bumbling moron and buffoon can build a simple box. Stay tuned and find out. This is actually going to be turned into a jewelry box for my wife as a gift. I built one for her years ago and it was not very good. She says she loves it, but she thinks I'm special, so shows how much she knows. Mostly using this curly maple I found in a cutoff bin. I mean, look how gorgeous that is. I'm going to be doing a waterfall edge on all the corners, so that way it'll be seamless. The grain pattern will flow nice and smooth, and I'm so excited to see how this comes out. Here's a sneak preview of what the wraparound effect is going to look like. There's a little bit of spalting and discoloration on one joint, but it's not too bad, so I'm not too worried about that. And holy Hitler in a handbasket. This wood is gorgeous. $6 out of a bin. All this wood cost me $6 out of a cutoff bin. I'm gonna be shopping at those for a while. After resawing it down, it was a little thin. It was less than ½ an inch, which is, that's a little thin in my head. So I had the bright idea to use some scrap walnut to kind of beef it out. And unfortunately, it didn't have enough, so I'm only able to put this on the top portion where it's going to be open. There's going to be a drawer on the bottom, so I'm not too worried about that. But where the glass is going to go and where people are going to be handling a lot, I want to beef that up a bit. So I'm just gluing on or sistering on, or whatever vernacular you want to use, some walnut onto the top edges here. And I wish I could do the entire thing. It makes cutting it like this a little funky chicken. I had to put a little scrap piece underneath to make sure it was square as I'm working on it. I wanted the drawer to be flush. I didn't want it to be pushed out like you see on a lot of crappy drawers. And I wanted the grain to continuous grain throughout. And unfortunately, this was the best way I could think of to make sure I get some nice parallel straight lines and make sure it looks good. The unfortunate part is because it's so small and these cuts are so big, an 1/8 inch thick, that's the curve of the blade, I don't like how big that gap is. Like, that is a huge gap. So once again, walnut to the rescue. Man, what can brown do for you? Once you go black, you never go back. Another joke based on race and the color brown. And don't pay attention to the glue mess. I'm not really clean with that stuff. It gets all over the place, hence the gloves. Alright, so we're going to test out some different epoxies. And because I'm not a rich bastard or a prolific YouTuber, Total Boat will not be part of this. Instead, I'm using run-of-the-mill Home Depot JB Weld Clear Weld professional grade epoxy, and it does work on wood. I bought these epoxy colorants, or whatever you want to call it, dyes. Dyes is a good word for them. I bought these epoxy powder dyes for like $5 for a huge sample pack, and I'm just going to be going through and just seeing if I could test out what looks good. So I just have a little sample thing here I can build up, and mixing a few of them together with some epoxy, see what kind of colors they come out. Because I don't want it to stand out. I don't want it to draw the attention away, but at the same time, I don't want it to look bad. I'm going to be using brass on this, so I'm just kind of leaning towards brass and slightly metallic. But I haven't used epoxy in wood before, so I said a quick prayer to the Lord and Savior here, and we're just going to see if it goes well. Fingers crossed. Now, this wasn't a deep pour or anything, but if I was to say that nothing went wrong, well, I'd be lying. What's the one thing that always happens whenever you see any YouTuber use epoxy? It spills out the bottom. Gosh dang it, you're an idiot. How'd I forget that? I did it on the other one. You're so stupid. 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 You're a moron. And nobody loves you. Alright, back to me trying to act like I know what I'm doing and look good. So next up is the glass. Now, my wife really wanted, we talked about this, I spoiled what I was going to give her because I wanted to make sure she liked it. But my wife wanted to be able to see through it, to see what was there. This was going to be for earrings and a bunch of other stuff, and she wanted to be able to not have to open something up to look at it. So I'm using glass. Unfortunate for me, I had a bunch of glass kitting equipment from when I built a coffee table back in the day. If you look closely, you can see the shim I have to use because I didn't have enough walnut to cover the entire inside to beef this up. Ah, the things we do for love. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are building something, try to have enough material before you do it. I'm a cheapskate, so if I could save a buck, I'm going to. My wife says she loves it about me. I'm not sure if she's telling the truth. I measured to the wrong specs. Gosh dang it, you idiot. You're a moron, and nobody loves you. So I screwed this up. But luckily this glass only costs like $5 at Home Depot. I know exactly what I did wrong. I measured to the inside edge of the walnut and not to the outside edge where there actually is the stop. So basically, that's really close up. Woo. A little too far. Bam! So good at this. So I measured to the wrong corner. I mean, of all the things I could have screwed up, a cut on $5 glass, pretty good. I'll take that. Anyway, I need to go to the store and pick up a new sheet of glass. Let's go. Round 2. Glass. You're here for glass. Okay. We don't need to tell my wife about the candy. That'll be our little secret. So with glass, as I've learned, you don't want it to be snug, but you also don't want it to be so loose that it moves around. And they sell these really cool tiny little balls that go inside all these channels, so that way it can be tight, but still allow for some expansion and contraction of the wood. And since I don't have all the fancy tools and gadgets that some other YouTubers have, one of the things I don't have is tiny balls. So anyway, what I'm going to be using is a piece of rubber bands. I'm going to cut up some rubber bands super small to fit inside here, and that should have the exact same accomplishment that those tiny balls do. Like I said earlier, I am a cheapskate, but also this is the exact same effect, so penny saved, penny not spent on stupid materials. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me, and by a lot I mean like 3, for plans for things I build and where, like, what am I building off of? I don't have plans. I make things up as I go. Is that stupid? Sure. Does it work for me? It does. I don't really like being confined to plans. Things happen. Stuff goes missing. You might have short material. You might think of a better idea as you're building. And I like just working and figuring things out. Whether or not it's making a panel to fit in the bottom or figuring out how I'm going to be doing a drawer inside here, I had no idea until I started doing it. I'm like, oh hey, I'll build some channels to go inside here. Since the drawer face is continuous grain with the box itself cannot be bigger than that. So the best thing I thought of, and there might be a better idea, if there is, let me know. The best thing I thought of was just building these small channels to fit inside. And drawer can fit inside that. It'll go nice and smooth. At least that's my thought. And I'm not going to go too far in depth and build it. It's just a small drawer. It's just 4 sides. I have other videos on this. It's just 4 sides with the bottom that's routed in. Boom. Drawer built. And I'm going to be honest, I did cheat a little bit here. I ran out of material, so I just used some 1/4-inch plywood I had on hand on the bottom. Sue me. So one thing I screwed up on this drawer is that the channels that it's in are supposed to be pushed up against the face, and I just didn't do that. I'm in a rush, I forgot about it. It should be pushed up against the face. Built them that way so that way they'd be a stop for this, so this can't go too far in. But I screwed that up. You're a moron, and nobody loves you. If you've watched any amount of woodworking YouTube videos, you'll probably know that there's a little bit of debate about whether or not miter joints are a strong enough joint. I personally like adding splines because I love the way they look, and good thing for me, my wife loves them too. I've built a couple things, and one of the things she consistently comments on is how good the splines look. Oh my gosh, this has splines. Oh, it looks so cool. And yeah, splines look cool. For me, they also had a peace of mind on a secondary connection, both mechanical and in glue, and so that's just two birds, one stone. If you have a good memory, you'll probably remember about 5 minutes ago when I said this for my wife's earrings. And I got lucky. I just pulled a measurement out of my butt when I built this little lattice work for her earrings. I was like, 1.5 inches, that should be good. Oh my gosh, it came out perfect. Like, if it was 1/8 inch shorter, it would not have worked. So, for me on that one, that was freaking lucky. God's looking out there. I normally film everything as I'm building, but I'm only have like 2 minutes of camera time left. And in the assembly, I've already broken one piece that I'm gluing, and I just broke another piece. You're a moron. I hate my life. Alright, so far Moron has successfully built a box. But now the part I hate the most, separating the lid from the body. One wrong move and all your work is essentially shattered. I mean, just look at the face as I'm working. That face. That cut. Look at it. Those arms. Ugh. Alright, so my reward for successfully building and cutting that box, I get to finish it. Which is usually the funnest part, because you get to see all the wood pop. I'm using Rubio Monocoat for the interior because there's going to be jewelry, earrings, rings, diamonds and stuff that's going to be scratching the surface up, and this is pretty easily repairable, and you don't really notice scratches too much in it. On the outside, I'm actually using a combination of shellac and walnut oil, and I'm doing it in 2 phases. Not really going much in the finishing process here. Once again, a lot of footage went missing, so I decided not to go over it in depth. Should I have pre-finished this before putting it together? Yes. Did I? No. Why not? Because I'm lazy and was just going by the seat of my pants. I also lost the footage of how those repairs went on this little lattice work, and they came out pretty good. One of my favorite things is the final assembly. You get to see everything put together. You get to see how good your work looks. You get to see what it looks like as a finished piece. Oh, that looks good. And you get to finish. The work is done. It's not one thing, it's another. I thought it was done. Thought it was all finished up. But looking good. See some daylight, but right there it's binding. Sometimes being an idiot and just doing things on the fly gives you good ideas or not. I don't know if this is a good idea. I loosened these screws, put a folded piece of paper towel here to give this a little gap, and now I'm going to tighten these down, and hopefully that gap will sink a little bit, but that'll offset the bump. Let's see. Yeah, that worked. That's sexy. Alright, let's clean the window. Like I was saying about final assembly, you just get to finish and just, I don't know, for me it's a good feeling. Like the last 10% of a job is almost as good as figuring it out as I go. And since I started making videos about some of the work I do, one of the also fun parts is you get to get all the glory shots. Cut. All right. Just gotta balance it. Nailed it.